Hey guys, Josh here, and August is looking like it could be the biggest month of 2025 for farming and life simulation games. In this video, I'll be sharing with you the most interesting upcoming titles, many of which I've had the chance to play demos of already, and I will also be giving you my first thoughts on a few games that released at the end of July. Hopefully, this should help you decide what to play, prioritize, or avoid, and if it does, leave a like on the video and let's get started. We'll begin with a game that finally released on July 29th after multiple delays, Tales of the Shire. It is available now for Steam, Switch, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Tales of the Shire is a cozy life sim game that takes place in the world of The Lord of the Rings, where you play as a hobbit who gathers ingredients by gardening, fishing, and foraging, to then use them in cooking and host parties for their other hobbit friends. On the original Switch, the game looks quite rough and performs poorly. On Switch 2, there's no actual Switch 2 upgrade yet, so it still doesn't look great, but it performs smoothly except for a few strange bugs. Like for me, there was no music when I played, only sound effects. On PC, while the game can be quite demanding and maybe not the most well optimized, it looks so much better. I usually don't mind graphics too much, but I think that a big selling point of Tales of the Shire is the atmosphere. The environments are very well designed, running around the Shire is immersive. You can tell they put a lot of time into creating this world, but unfortunately on Switch you lose a lot of the lighting, the shadows, the details, textures are blurry, and as a result you miss out on an important aspect of the experience. I bought this game on both Switch and PC, but going forward I will only be playing it on PC as the difference is major. When it comes to the gameplay, it's simple. It's a lot of fetch quests, and some of them are a bit bugged or unclear. For example, I had a quest to show 3 vegetables that I grew to an NPC, but I was somehow able to complete the quest even before my crops finished growing. So it can feel messy at times, but overall it works and I didn't run into too many issues, at least on PC. The gameplay mechanics are fairly simple, but with a few extras. So with gardening, you have companion planting, where specific crops will thrive next to each other. And for cooking, you can tweak the flavors of recipes in order to fit the needs of your guests. The progression feels very rewarding as you befriend villagers and complete quests to unlock new areas, upgrade your tools, expand your garden, and it's making me want to keep playing. I still have some mixed feelings about the game. I wish decorating your house served a more practical purpose because the decorating features are really strong, and I'm waiting to see if new mechanics will get introduced maybe 20-30 hours into the game. I also wonder what you can do after the story. A lot of questions remain unanswered. I will have a full review after I've played more. There is so much I want to say, and it is not a perfect game, but if I had to pick between this and other titles at a similar price point that it reminds me of, let's say Fae Farm and Hello Kitty Island Adventure, then I would, without any hesitation, pick Tales of the Shire. This next game is the sponsor of today's video, Infinity Nikki. I recently tried out their newest update, Danchin Season, released on July 29th, and I got to experience its new outfits, areas to explore, and event quest inspired by Chinese inkwash painting. Enjoy the beautiful sceneries as you cross the stream on your bamboo raft, help the locals prepare for the Yinyuan festival, find new collectibles, play minigames, put your platforming skills to the test in the Dancing Trails, a new side-scroller challenge, and so much more. The new Forever Bond outfit will give you exploration and combat abilities, while the Clouded Long will let you ride this dragon, allowing you to fly across Danchin Island and Danchin Realm, where you find yourself inside an inkwash painting. If you would like to try Infinity Nikki or you want to get back into it to check out the new content, then you can do so by using the link in the description. As for what's to come next, in version 1.9, we can look forward to the additions of home decor, crafting, and gardening. And if you happen to be going to Gamescom 2025, there will be a booth for Infinity Nikki there, so feel free to stop by. Now, if the Shire and Nikki are too cozy for you, don't worry, we have plenty of options, as on July 29th, again, Grounded 2, the sequel to Grounded, released in early access on Steam and PC Game Pass. This game follows the same group of friends who were shrunk to the size of ants in the original. They're now in a park and even larger open world to explore. If you've never had the chance to play Grounded, I think it is one of the best survival base building games out there. The perspective of playing as a tiny human is refreshing. You're fighting all sorts of bugs you craft with things like grass and acorns, and it takes place in the 90s, so it's full of nostalgic references. It offers a great feeling of progression, there's a story to follow along, and you can play solo or co-op. It's just an amazing game. Grounded 2 will feel familiar if you've played the first one, but it has some new features such as mounts, so you can ride ants or spiders to get places faster, reach new areas, and gather materials, making the exploration more enjoyable. You also have this Omni tool that serves as an axe, a shovel, a hammer, and a wrench. It doesn't take space in your inventory, doesn't break, and it's very convenient. There are other little additions here and there, but overall, it is quite similar to the first game. I would say that if you own the original game already and you still have things to do in it, maybe finish it, and by that time, the second one will have received more updates or be on sale. But otherwise, if you already finished the first one or you've never played it, might as well just start with the second one. It is in early access, so keep in mind you won't be able to finish the story. But from the few hours that I've played, it seems like there is a good amount of content already, and these developers are very active, they listen to the feedback, and I think that this game will be a must for anyone who likes survival and base building. On July 31st, we got the release of the Harvest Moon Cozy Bundle for the Nintendo Switch. This includes Harvest Moon, The Lost Valley, and Skytree Village, originally released by Natsume for the Nintendo 3DS. One thing you should know about these games is that they are not part of the classic Harvest Moon series that is known today as Story of Seasons. They do have the name and logo of Harvest Moon, but in reality it is a series made by different developers that started in 2014 with The Lost Valley. The two games in this bundle are ports, they're not remakes, so it is pretty much the original experience, but they include all the DLC, they are somewhat optimized for the Nintendo Switch, and feature a revamped UI. That being said, sadly, it doesn't change the fact that these are very low quality games. I am working on a video diving into all of it, but long story short, the gameplay is extremely tedious and repetitive from the very beginning, characters are generic, everything from the music to the sound effects will quickly get on your nerves, and unless you have some nostalgia for those games, I do not think they are worth playing. Skytree Village is a slight improvement over The Lost Valley, but overall, these two games are extremely similar, sharing most of their assets and mechanics. It is a shame because they do have some good ideas. There is terraforming, you can get unique crop variations based on the height of the terrain. So that sounds good in theory, but most of the mechanics are not clearly explained. Things are not balanced. The pacing is all over the place, it is simply not fun. I played them for 3 to 4 hours each because I was streaming, and I wanted to say that I played them and I had your moral support to do it, but if I had been by myself, I would have given up within 30 minutes. So let's just move on and talk about Magic Inn, releasing in early access on Steam this August 4th. In Magic Inn, we get to run a fully customizable inn, from setting up the menus to decorating the dining area, managing staff, preparing rooms for the guests, everything. There are two things here that I think could make this game stand out. First, there is magic to use to our advantage. For example, we'll have flying plates that make their way automatically to the guests, and spells like this rain cloud to clean the tables. The other interesting feature is the card system. So as you progress, you unlock cards that are used to interact with NPCs, trade with them, put them in a better mood so they give you better tips, and things like that. I played a bit of the early access build of Magic Inn, and I can see how, yes, some of the ideas are good, but it is quite rough at the moment. I'm not typically prone to motion sickness, but the camera felt so nauseating and awkward, even after reducing the sensitivity, and I found that I had very little control over what it was doing. It kept zooming in and out as I was approaching walls, it was very chaotic. The controls overall were so clunky and unintuitive. There was a quest asking me to burn these cobwebs using my fire spell, and I did manage to get through it eventually, but the aiming was not precise at all. It felt frustrating, and even at the end, I wasn't sure how I managed to do it. Right after, I had to clean 5 tables using the rain clouds. Casting that spell properly was even more infuriating, plus my tables were already clean so I couldn't complete the quest, and that is when I decided to just give up. So right now, even if this game had the best ideas in the world, the camera, controls, and other technical quirks are getting in the way of my enjoyment. Magic Inn is something I might revisit in the future, but I cannot recommend it in its current state. There is still a demo on Steam, however, so if you are thinking about buying it, make sure you try it first. Sticking to the Magic theme, as well as the cards theme in fact, we have Ritual of Raven releasing on Steam this August 7th. This is a story-driven farming sim that visually reminds me of another game called Everholm, with this adorable isometric pixel art. But what's special here is instead of doing the farming yourself, you have these creatures called constructs, and you use cards to give them instructions, a bit like programming in a way, so you can automate all of the work. I played the demo of this game a few months ago and maybe things have changed, but here's what I thought. I was into the story at the beginning, but after the first hour or so, I started feeling like the dialogue was dragging on a bit more than I would have liked, and all of the reading I was doing was not worth the value I was getting from the plot. Just keep in mind, it is quite narrative driven. That's a matter of personal preference, some will like it, others won't, but there is a lot of talking between the actual gameplay portions. Second, I loved the automation aspect, and initially it felt really satisfying to program your little constructs, unlock new cards, and get them to work the way that you want. However, I quickly found that it was extremely easy to not necessarily cheat, but I was able to have my constructs grow valuable crops on a loop indefinitely, where I could just go to bed over and over again, make so much money, and there was practically no consequence to it. I also vaguely remember that there were different sizes for the fields, but since you didn't have to wait for crops to grow, constructs could do everything with one tile and be just as productive. So I couldn't see the point of having larger fields, and it felt like many of the mechanics didn't make sense or were broken. Usually, I find automation games to be very addictive, where it is satisfying to see everything working together. You gradually scale up and optimize your production, you always have bigger goals to work towards, but I didn't get that rewarding gameplay loop in Ritual of Raven. Again, keep in mind that was the demo, things could have changed. The demo is still there if you'd like, but it did not convince me to play the full game. I know we've been through a lot of disappointments so far, but things should get better as we progress into the month. Straying away from life and farming sims for a moment, if you like decorating and you're looking for something very chill and simple as you wait for some of these next bigger titles, then you might be interested in MakeRoom, releasing August 7th for Steam. In this sandbox experience, you pick a room, a camper, or a garden, and decorate it to your heart's content. Place, move, rotate, and resize items freely, change their color, and if you feel really creative, then create your own pieces of furniture from scratch. If you prefer having some guidance or objectives, there is also an island with requests to complete, but besides that, the game is all about creating nice dioramas, taking pictures, all in a very relaxing atmosphere. When I played the demo for this game, the content was quite limited, it was really just to showcase the main features, but I had a great first impression. It felt very smooth and responsive, it looked pretty, and there was a good amount of freedom in how you could decorate. This is a very specific type of game, so I think you will know if it's for you or not. It's similar to things like Tiny Glade, Townscaper, Summer House, and based on my experience with the demo, I am confident in the quality level of MakeRoom. On the same day, August 7th, is when we'll see the release of Out and About in early access on Steam. While in most games, foraging tends to play a very small part, in Out and About it is the main focus. You create your character, explore the forest, and learn how to forage various wild plants and mushrooms. It actually teaches you how to differentiate, for example, a chamomile from a daisy, two flowers who look very similar. You then learn how to gather the different parts of a plant, and you use them for brewing tea, cooking, or creating remedies. You meet a bunch of characters along the way, help them with rebuilding their town, and again, we can expect a very cozy, chill kind of experience here. I did play the demo for Out and About, it is still available, and what I enjoyed the most was definitely learning the real facts about the plants and how to identify them. It felt very educational, all while remaining a proper game. I have to say, I was not the biggest fan of the character creator or the way that the characters looked in general. I also don't know if the gameplay will be challenging enough to keep me engaged, but the environments looked great, and I think it can be worth trying if you want to learn about foraging in a relaxing atmosphere. Just one last thing, the Steam page does not have the early access banner, at least at the moment, but the developer did make a post saying that it would be early access with a list of everything we can expect. So at first glance it looks like it's a full release, but it's not, and I hope that they're working on making it officially listed as early access, otherwise it is misleading. Next, on August 12th, is a game I've been excited about for quite some time now, Super Farming Boy, also in early access on Steam. This is a game I don't see enough people talking about, and with how unique it is, I am surprised. So first, there is a very fun cartoon aesthetic and a quirky story, where this villain called Corpo takes everything you love, so your tools, your friends, and even your mom, so you then have to work for him to buy everything back. If you think that looks fun, it gets better with the gameplay. Super Farming Boy combines farming with puzzle, and each crop has a different pattern that will hit other crops as you harvest them. For example, corn will hit crops to their right, tomatoes will hit crops up and down, and your goal is to create chains that are as long as possible to get a lot of money at the end of the day. With that money, you can buy power-ups from Corpo so that the next day you're a little bit more efficient. Then you can plant more crops, maybe discover new ones that have special traits, optimize your gardens, and do even bigger combos. I really enjoyed the demo. When I first played it, there were some issues with the controls, but that's all been fixed. And if you like the idea of mixing the gameplay loop of farming sims with some puzzle elements, then you should give Super Farming Boy a chance, or at least wishlist it if you want to wait for the full release. Like I said earlier, the deeper we get into August, the better the games get. And on August 21st, the Supermarket and Life Sim Discounty will be launching for Steam, Switch, and PlayStation 5, and that is a full release. You move to a small town that is not doing too well, and you get to run a store called Discounty. If you've played Supermarket Simulator, running the store feels similar, so you order products, run the cash register, upgrade your store gradually, and as you play you unlock more features. But here you also have this very beautiful pixel art, a story with fun characters, and a whole life sim experience when the store is closed. You interact with villagers, help them with various quests, shop for new furniture for both your house and your store, unlock new areas to explore, and all of this prevents the game from feeling too repetitive. The demo for Discounty will give you a taste of all of these features, and what you can expect in the first few hours of the game. One last detail I would like to point out with this game, when you're operating the cash register, you have to type in the numbers like on a real cash register. My keyboard has a numpad, so for me that was fun and immersive, but when I tried it with a controller, it was not as intuitive, so that could be something to consider, and for this reason, personally, I will play it on PC instead of on console. Last but certainly not least, Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar will be available on Steam, Switch, and Switch 2 on August 27th. This one needs no introduction for most of you. It is a reimagined version of Harvest Moon Grand Bazaar, originally released for the Nintendo DS. This is the classic farming sim formula, but with a fun twist, as each Saturday there is a bazaar happening in town. You run a stall there where you sell your products, and that's also where you get to do most of your shopping. Preparing and running your shop at the bazaar is such a satisfying loop each week in the original game. Kind of like in Discounty, there's a good balance between doing the life sim stuff, running your shop, and in this new version of Grand Bazaar, we can expect a lot of new content. Character customization, a larger region to explore with a glider to make it more fun, a wider variety of crops, plus mushrooms, flowers, and honey, new quality of life features, new characters, voice acting, and so much more. I have been incredibly excited for this game, replaying the original in the meantime, and this is without a doubt my most anticipated title for the year. I can't believe it is finally coming out this month. So these are my thoughts on all of the recent and upcoming games that I've had on my radar. Let me know which ones you're the most excited for, and if you would like to see more. I will do my best to cover them on this channel throughout the month, either through videos or live streams. Meanwhile, feel free to check out the latest Infinity Nikki update. Thanks again to them for supporting the channel. Leave a like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.